Duehring, I think, is a little more straightforward. The title of this very short excerpt that we have from him is "The Question of the Jew is a Question of Race." Okay, so um, one main difference that we want to see between Duehring and Bauer is that, at least theoretically for Bauer, Jews could stop being Jewish, they could stop practicing Judaism, and they must not convert to Christianity, right? That in the past, Jews could gain some rights by converting to Christianity, and he wants to say, that's not it, that's not what I'm calling for. Bauer wants to say, no, they have to stop being Jews, but not take on any other religion. With Duehring, we see a very different kind of language, right? That for Duehring, he actually thinks it's a serious problem that Jews should ever be emancipated, and the more that Jews behave like other Germans, actually, the more Duehring is convinced there's a problem, okay? So we see a heightened paranoia really developing as there is this shift towards something racial, right? That when we're talking about something racial, I mean, not what people do, but who they are, what's in their blood, who they're descended from genetically, those kinds of things. And often even it's tied closely to language about disease or infection. So Duehring opens here by saying a Jewish question would still exist even if every Jew were to turn his back on his religion, right? So he doesn't think the problem is Judaism, or not Judaism alone. He probably hates Judaism, but he wants to say that's not actually it, that if that's what you think it is, you're missing the point. And so instead, he uses the language, it is precisely the baptized Jews, so he means the people who have converted to German citizenship or to Christianity and gained some rights as citizens previously. So those are the people who infiltrated furthest, right? This language of infiltration is kind of classic racist and xenophobic, of being afraid of people who are not from the nation language, right? That it's a conspiracy language too, right? If you infiltrate something, you don't belong there, but somehow secretly you maneuvered your way there, right? So we see then that he says the problem is really not the Jewish religion, but it's the racial Jew, Rassenjude. So he says that by beginning to integrate, by doing actually what many other Germans are calling for, by practicing Judaism in new ways, by giving up old dietary habits, styles of dress, all kinds of things, Duehring actually becomes afraid that Jews are going to bring down Germany. They're more likely to do it this way, that he says they force themselves into all aspects of social and political life. In this way, their contact with the nation in which they live becomes more pronounced. And so instead, he wants to say the diverse admixture of our modern cultures, or in other words, the sprinkling of racial Jewry in the cracks and crevices of our national abode, must inevitably lead to a reaction. So for him, he's saying there's nothing Jews can do to be deserving of citizenship, that Jews should not be trusted by any account. And this is why we want to call anti-Semitism really a change. That at least conceptually, with anti-Judaism in the past, Jews could convert and belong. In practice, I think there's realistically an ongoing distrust, perhaps a distrust of whether the conversion was genuine, but at least theoretically there was something Jews could do. With the language like we see with Duehring here starting in the very late 19th century, now we have a development of really truly racism, of saying that there's something inherently wrong with a group of people, and therefore they do not belong in the nation. And if they are in fact allowed to be in contact with the nation, including through sexual contact, the idea of blood mixing, something like that, that these become extreme anxieties that go far beyond just sort of seeing problems with certain practices of different religions, but as a sort of underlying, unchangeable distrust, and a sense that even as people are trying to earn the trust of those around them, that here it's actually counter-effective. He thinks that it's not genuine, but rather that it's only so that they can kind of spy on Germans, ruin German blood, and through spying get more information to succeed with some kind of conspiracy to take down the German nation.